Hi everybody. As Gabe mentioned, my name is Shane Skinner. I own a company here on Cape called Devadigm. I help small businesses with their web presence. A lot of what I do includes WordPress, WordPress trainings and WordPress development and maintenance and whatnot. And as we're discussing ideas and options for presentations, one of the things we talked about is that we haven't really ventured into plugins yet. So I volunteered to do a brief demo on the Yoast SEO plugin. How many of you have used SEO so far? That's what I kind of figured. All right. Yoast is really popular. There's a few good SEO plugins out there. I've used Yoast for a few years now for most of the sites I work on. And it can be a little daunting when you're first starting out, but it's actually, they walk you through step by step through the setup and the installation. And the on-page site titles and meta descriptions and whatnot are really user-friendly. So I kind of figured I would just do a little demonstration on a blank, basically template site and kind of show you guys how to walk through Yoast from install through setup. If you, I'll show just in case there's somebody who hasn't used WordPress at all. When you install the plugin, you're just going to go and add a new plugin and just search for the Yoast SEO plugin and then activate it. And then once you have it set up on the site, it actually has its own link here in the bottom called SEO. One of the nice features of Yoast is that they take care of all the technical stuff for you. Once you install Yoast, you don't have to worry about editing your htaccess files or the robots.txt files or any of the technical stuff. They'll walk through all of it for you. They create sitemaps. All that is done for you. So this is a sample site. You can ignore the error because I just set this up. First time SEO configuration kind of helps you get your site configured and kind of get, it shows SEO, I'm sorry, it shows Yoast what kind of site your site is. Is it personal? Is it for a business? Are you trying to sell things? Is it a blog or whatnot? So you have configure Yoast SEO in just a few steps. And the first option, it wants to know if your site is under construction or if it's active now. So basically they're asking if they should notify Google and the search engines to go ahead and index your site now or if they should hold off on that because you're still building it. We're going to put it's under construction. This one should not be indexed because it is blank. Then they ask what the site represents. So is this a personal blog? Is this a small business? Is it for news? An online shop? Is it a larger corporation? What type of entity is your site for? So usually a lot of my clients are small offline businesses. So I'll choose that one. Is it for a company or a person? Pretty self-explanatory if this is for a business or if it's a personal blog. You can put the name of the company. So we'll call us WordPress Cape Cod. You can choose an image for your logo. I suggest, and I think we talked about this in one of the previous meetups, but make sure you name your images correctly also, which will go along with helping with SEO. So make sure you have your company name and probably like location as the name for your image, for your logo image. So you choose your logo, click Next. And then Yoast gives you the option to set up all of your social profiles. And this really helps the search engines find you in all the social media sites. So you can put in your Facebook URL, your Twitter handle, whatever social media sites you're on. I'm going to put your links there. And then they have visibility options. So you can choose whether or not you want the search engines to show your posts and your pages in the results. If you have custom post types, you can also choose that after you finish the configuration if you want some of those hidden from search engines or if you want everything shown. And we'll also get into briefly categories and tags. You can choose if you want those hidden or shown also. So yes, we want everything shown. They talk about authors that they know if this is kind of a singularly managed WordPress site or if there will be multiple authors on it. If there's any chance of having somebody else write posts for you, I would choose yes. Otherwise, they may archive some of the content. So I usually leave it at yes, to be honest with you. You can sync your Google Search Console account with it, so you can access the information right here from your WordPress dashboard. You can get your authorization code, and it walks you through step by step how to link your WordPress site with your Google account. Title separator, it gives you the option of how you want your titles to be separated. So as you're looking in the URL bar of the site, I always use a dash for the separator in between the words. Seems to have the best results for SEO. Some people prefer the larger hyphen or underscores or whatnot, but Yoast, the default is a dash, and I kind of recommend leaving it there. Lots of options for that. Of course, you can sign up for the newsletter if you want to get some information, some tips. And then they have, of course, a sales pitch to try to have you upgrade to their premium version. And we'll discuss the features of both the free version and the premium here shortly. They are really good at creating videos. As you can see, they have a lot of information out there to kind of help you if you have questions about certain topics or whatnot. A lot more obviously available with the premium version if you go pay for some of the trainings that they offer. But there is a lot of information to teach you specific functions of the plugin. And that's it. That's for the initial setup. That's it for the configuration. I'm done. I was a little too excited there with that part. That's all you have to do to get it set up on your site. And then we'll get to the on page in a minute, but I'll kind of run through some of their features. They have a lot of this is redundant with the configuration wizard. So you can go through here and you can edit things or adjust things down the road if you choose to. But if you click on the search appearance, you can update the title separator, whether it's a company or a person. I don't think that would change very often, but the name of the company, you can change your logo here if you want to, if you get a new logo or whatnot, you can upload the new one. Content types, this is where it was going to ask you about posts. If you want to show posts in your search results, can't think of many reasons why you wouldn't want to. Typically, you're going to want to show your posts and pages and results. The date in the snippet preview is an option. Most sites I've worked on want to hide the date that the article came out. It kind of depends if it's a true blog or if it's a business that's just posting information. But you could choose to show the date that the article was posted in the snippet preview that shows up on Google and the other search engines. You're going to want to have your meta box displayed so you can update your information. And we'll go over the title and the description in a few moments here. And then same information for the pages. Do you want your pages to show up in search results? Do you want the date to show up? Do you want the meta box to appear? Media. They allow you to redirect attachment URLs to the attachment itself. Basically, they're I had a really good way of explaining this earlier, and now I'm forgetting. It saves it to the media. It creates an attachment URL for the image when you upload an image. Honestly, I'd typically leave that one as a default. Don't really mess with it. Taxonomies, this is the categories. You can choose if you want your categories and your tags to show up in the search results. They all have the default for the title. They'll give you little snippets here for the title, the page, the separator, etc. You can choose your description for categories throughout the site. Tags, same thing. You can choose if you want your tags to show up in search results on the search engines, and then how you want them to appear, and if you have a certain meta description for the tags as well. So it kind of runs you through the appearance here, runs you through most of the options from the configuration along with a few more. Archives, you can choose how you want the archive settings to appear, or if you want them to appear or not. And then again, you can update, if you want to specify its archives with the title or whatnot, and you can put a description in. Special pages, date archive settings. If you want to enable or disable date archives to show up. And again, you're going to see this all over Yoast. It's very consistent with the title and the meta description of how they appear in the search results. You can change your message for like 404 error messages. A lot of sites will put, oops, something happened or whatnot. Instead of just page not found, you can tweak that as you see fit. Save your changes. Breadcrumbs. Most themes these days have breadcrumbs built in, so I don't find this to be needed as often as in the past. But if a theme you're using doesn't enable breadcrumbs, you can choose to enable them here. And then it gives you a little snippet of code to put into one of the files. And then you can add breadcrumbs onto the site, which is good for SEO. And if you have an RSS feed, you can put any information you want for the RSS feed, content you want before the link or whatnot. And it gives you a couple options here for author link and post link or whatnot. Most of that, the configuration and most of these search appearances are kind of, what I call set and forget. You kind of set it up when you first build your site, and then it's usually kind of good to go and remains the same there. This is another place if you don't, for whatever reason, authenticate your Google account at the beginning in the configuration, you can add it here, the Search Console link. The social link is also redundant from the configuration. You can go ahead and all of your URLs, if you add a new site or whatnot, new social media account, you can add that in here. They also add on, in addition to Facebook and Twitter, which you can get from the individual pages and posts, they add on Pinterest and Google Plus here, if you use those. So you can go and confirm and link your Pinterest, Google Plus, or Twitter or Facebook accounts. And then it gives you a few tools. If you want to import or export any of the information, you can edit the file, and a bulk editor can come in handy. You can, especially if you have a site with a lot of pages or a lot of posts, you can view them here, and you can change the titles for each of them on one page rather than having to go into each individual page to make the changes. So I kind of flew through those, I feel like, but most of these options here are part of the configuration when you first set up. And so you can make a few tweaks here and there, but most of that kind of remains as it is. The main part for me for Yoast, what I always kind of show clients and recommend, is the individual page edits. So we have in the pages section, if you go to the screen options, you can tweak what you want to appear in your page's overview. So I always tweak mine to show most of the Yoast features here. So I can see how many links each page includes, how many links there are to each page. They give you a colored setting, basic, green or red, good or bad, basically, for your SEO setting. And I haven't set up SEO these pages, so it's gray. I have, I think, one sentence on this page, and apparently it's a good sentence because it's green. But it kind of shows you the readability, whether or not the text on that page is deemed by search engines as easily readable. It shows your SEO title, meta description, and a key phrase. So any questions so far?
If you have custom post types, will this information show there as well?
Yes. Yep. So here's where I spend most of my time with Yoast, once I set a site up, is on each individual page and post. So if you scroll down below our fancy new Gutenberg editor, we have the Yoast SEO section here. The first thing you're going to see is a snippet preview. And the snippet preview is what Yoast expects your results to look like on Google and Bing and on the search engines. So it shows you the title of your page here. It shows the URL, and then it shows your meta description. So the first thing to do, preferably before you create a post or a page, but after is fine, is to generate your focus keyword, keyword or key phrase. You want to choose whatever the primary topic of that post or page is going to be about. So for example, WordPress training. Then you want to edit your snippet to make sure that it's going to appear in the search engines as you want it to look. So you want to have your keyword in both the SEO title and in the description within the snippet. And as their default, they show the title, the page it's on, a separator right here, and the site title. It's like WordPress Bootcamp's the name of the site that I set up here. You can obviously delete any that you want. You can add to it. You can edit to it. So we might put Yoast SEO demo during WordPress training or whatnot. And it shows you, you see how there's an orange bar? It lets you know if your title is too short or too long. So you kind of go until you're within the green. I cannot type while people are watching me ever. So when your title's in the green, you know it's kind of in the recommended area by Yoast. And of course, if you go too long, if you type too many words, it turns orange again. It says, yo, this is way too much information. It actually goes red. Like, way too much. TMI, delete it. And so it's really user-friendly, if you will, and it really shows you kind of right in your face if you're in the right area, if you're too short, too long, what information they want. You can update the slug of the site, which the slug is the part after your domain, whatever page you're working on. So if you want to update that and make it more focused on your focus keyword, you can do that here. And then here's your meta description. So this would be a couple sentences. We offer Yoast SEO demonstrations at. See how it's still orange because it's not enough information yet. WordPress Cape Cod Meetup at Cape Space. My keywords focus WordPress training, right? So we want to have WordPress training. We offer Yoast SEO demonstrations and WordPress training opportunities. Come on, give me more text here. There we go. So you want to have your meta description filled up, and again, you can go usually about to the end of the second line here, and then it starts to turn red. You have a little bit too much information. So the meta description is what's going to show up right here in the search engine results. And it's not perfect. Yoast doesn't control the search engines. They can't tell Google, hey, you have to show this, but it's really good. Their algorithm is really close, and it does usually show this or close to it. You might have a couple words cut off here or there. There might be a little bit extra space depending on the device they're using, screen size or whatnot, which you can view here as well. We're actually looking at the mobile snippet. You can actually change and look at the desktop also. So you can kind of see if it cuts off on one screen or shows more on the next or whatnot. You can alternate back and forth. So you get your SEO title, you get your meta description after choosing your focus key phrase. And that's kind of the main starting point for each page and each post. As a general rule of thumb, you want to make sure that your focus keyword is in the title, is in the meta description, and is in the first paragraph of the page. So I should actually have on here to show during. So now I have the key phrase in the first paragraph also. All right, so we updated our snippet. I'm going to skip over readability analysis, and I'll go back to that in just a moment. We have our focus keyword. One of the neat things about Yoast is that they show us an analysis of how they feel we're doing with the SEO for this particular post or page. So it gives you, again, good results are in green, improvements are in orange, and problems are red. So they're going to say here, an image needs an alt attribute. So we don't have any images on this page, and we don't have any images with an alt attribute. So that's a good idea is to add an image to the page. It also says your text has 21 words. That's not enough. You need to have at least 300 words to be taken seriously by any of the search engines at a minimum. They suggest having outbound links on the each page. And the key phrase, apparently I didn't put that in the title. WordPress training. Capitalists, don't make me a liar, but it shouldn't matter. Try moving it to the beginning. Interesting. WordPress training, WordPress training. So this goes back to where I said it's not quite perfect, but it's a real good plugin. I'm actually not sure why it's saying it in the title. Well, it's in the title. It's suggesting to put it in the title, unless I changed it. Did I change it down here and not do it right? That could be. Let's see. Good call. They want it at the beginning of the title. So I had changed it in the SEO title here, and they want it actually at the beginning is what their recommendation is. And which makes sense, because they really want to show the search engines right up front what the page of the post is about. And then lots of green. Green is good. This suggests the outbound links. The readability aspect, actually, am I skipping anything here? We'll talk about premium in a minute. No, okay. The readability analysis is a tricky one. I actually personally struggle with this a lot because it's great because it shows you if the search engines think that your page is easy to read. And they base that a lot on the length of your sentences. So if you have a lot of 5 or 6 word sentences, it can be hard to read. If you have a lot of really lengthy sentences, it can be hard to read. So they look for difference. They look for differentiation among the sentences. They also look for how many syllables you have in each word. So if you have a lot of big words, they mark that down as difficult to read. One thing that you have to keep in mind is it really depends on what your site is about and who your target audience is. The example that they actually use is if this is a recipe blog, you're not going to have a lot of big words on it necessarily. So you can kind of not dummy it down, but keep it simple, keep it basic. Whereas if you're writing articles that have mathematical equations or more educational items, you might have more difficult words. So you got to kind of take the score with a grain of salt. Is their recommendation. But it gives you a reading ease score. So like this couple sentences I have, the score is 87.4. Obviously, the closer to 100, the easier the site is to read, or the page, I should say. Shows you whether you have a passive voice or an active voice. If you're varying your sentences enough as far as the length of the sentences. Subheading distribution, as you are creating posts and pages, you want to make sure you have subheadings to kind of break out the content throughout the page. And they have, of course, recommendations based on how many words you have on the page. If you have a couple thousand words, you should have several subheadings versus a 300 word post, 1 or 2 is probably sufficient. They look at the length of the paragraph, make sure you don't have any run-on paragraphs that are hard to read. Sentence length we mentioned, and transition words. So they give you a lot of suggestions on how to make the page more readable. And like I said before, I've had sites where I've gone through the text a lot and read it, and it reads okay, it sounds fine, and I'll have like a 72. And me being OCD like I am, I want 100. I'm like, come on. So you'll focus on it, you'll go and change it. You too. You go and change it a lot and try to edit things. And, all right, I'm going to be more active in this voice. I'll go change a sentence to make it active, and all of a sudden I'm short on transition words. Like, dang it. And so you could spend hours fighting with it. And I suggest writing good ad copy. One suggestion I make is to read it out loud to yourself or have someone else read it out loud. If you can read it out loud without stumbling, if it sounds good, go with it. Unless the score is like a 50 or something really low. But if you're over like a 75 or an 80, go with it. Be happy. You can take advantage of any of the red marks. Try to reduce the red glaring issues or whatnot. But don't go nuts spending hours and hours and hours tweaking perfectly good content just to make it happy. Is my suggestion. So that is that. Okay. The Yoast, the free version, gives you what I think is everything you need really to really get your site started with SEO. The paid version does give you a few extra options, and a few of them are here on this page. One of the options in the premium version is it actually shows you, it gives you a preview of how your page or post will look on Facebook or on Twitter when people share the post or the page onto their social media accounts. So you can adjust if you want the title to show differently on like Twitter or Facebook than it shows on your website, or if you want to use a different description than the meta description for the site or a different image, you can adjust that within each page and post here with the premium version. And we'll go over some other premium version options in a minute here. The last option here with the settings are for each individual post and page. You can choose if you want them to show this post or page in search engine results. So maybe you have a really old blog article that's not really applicable anymore. Maybe you've written new content, but you don't want to delete the old one from the site. Maybe it has pages linked to it, or some pertinent information there, but you don't really want people to find you because of that, you can change and hide this individual page or post from search engine results. So that way they're not looking for it, and they hopefully will skip over it. You can choose no follow links to it. You can also update canonical URLs if you want to change the URL structure on the site. You can do that on an individual post or page level as well. Any questions so far? All right. One thing that I probably should have typed more text to have it appear here. One thing that a lot of newer clients I take on, I have to have conversations with them about, is not to keyword dump anymore. Back in the day, it used to be that if you wanted to show up on the first page of Google, put your keyword in the page as often as you could. That's not the case anymore. As most people in this room probably know, at least the developers, you want to make sure your keywords, a certain percentage. They actually say 1 to 2% of the words on the page are your keyword, and it'll show you on here. Once you type in some more text, hey, your keyword's appearing, 8% on the page or whatnot, and there'll be a big red dot. So you want to make sure and don't get into keyword stuffing like we used to back in the day. But they are very kind of in your face about it. Red dots, orange dots. Fix this. So it makes it really user friendly, in my opinion, to make edits and updates and whatnot. So everything I've mentioned there, with the exception of the social media sharing, is part of the free version. The paid version has a couple options that some people like. The first option is you can choose additional keywords. So with the free version, as you can see, you only have one. You get one focused keyword. With the paid version, you can get up to 5. So it gives you a few options. You can add synonyms. You can add related key phrases. You can choose your own. You can have up to 5 different keywords. And you would just, as you're doing it, add on more. We talked about the social media preview. They give you content insights. So after you have typed out your post or your page, it shows you the 5 words that appear the most on that post or page. So if you have a focused keyword of WordPress training, but that's not one of the top 5 on the page, you might want to kind of rethink the content on the page. And of course, the percentages and all that taken into play. But you want to make sure that the words you're saying most often on the page are applicable to what you want users to be finding that page for. They also have internal linking suggestions on the premium version. So it'll show you as you're typing a page out. It'll use those words in the content analysis or insights, and it'll say, hey, we think you're going to want to link to these 3 pages here because of the words that you've used on this page. So that's pretty handy. It has a redirect manager. So if you delete old pages, it'll pop up right away and say, hey, this page is gone. Do you want, rather than a 404 error message, you want to redirect that to another page, and it makes it easy for you to go in there and redirect it. Of course, there are a lot of other plugins that can do that for you without having to pay for the premium version. And then, of course, like most premium plugins, they give you premium support and ad-free. As you can see, on the back end, there's a lot of ads as you're looking through the settings of the plugin. The ads are all over, so those go away with the premium version. Has anybody in here used the premium? What are your thoughts?
I like it.
Do you like it?
Well, I don't use most of the features, but the ones that it has there are pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm staring at those ads every day.
Yeah. I'm almost to the point to where it's worth it for me just to.
You just edit them in the actual plugin file if you want.
I've thought about that.
One of my favorite premium features is your preview, like a live preview of what it'll look like in social media.
Yeah.
So when someone shares your page, it will show you what it looks like in Twitter, in Facebook.
And you use that? That works well?
Yes.
That is one of the features I've been thinking of. I've actually never bought it. I haven't actually ever used the premium version. Just haven't.
Here on the free one, but
Yeah.
the premium one will show you a live preview of what it would look like.
So you can see on like a Facebook layout, the design and everything.
Version, they also have this 2 user blocks, the FAQ and one other one, and it actually has the search engine, the schema attached to the block as well.
Yes.
It's a pretty good feature for the premium.
That's only in premium?
I think so.
Because they have, excuse me.
That's the structured data, right?
Yeah. I thought it was premium.
That's right. They have the how-to and the FAQs. You can put a block in. I don't really understand the how-to though, because this is like the example I read about was how to use Yoast SEO, but I don't like. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I could put that on my site, but not many people would want to put how to use Yoast SEO on their website. So,
You need a how-to for the how-to block.
right? And then they had the FAQs. So you could actually go and put that in your page and search their FAQs right away if you wanted to. So there are a couple good features. A lot of the premium version information you can get for free other ways, so it really depends on ease of use is part of it. Also, there's the thought process of supporting the developers who, because they do give a lot to make the plugin and all the videos and training and everything they've made. So there's nothing wrong with supporting developers just for that. To hide the ads or whatnot, but the free version gives you a lot, and it takes time. You want to go through your page overview for each page. In fact, now let me go ahead and save this. I'll refresh the overview. It filled in the meta description I put in and the key phrase I'm using. So one thing that I do a lot is when I first take over a site, I'll go through and check and make sure that we don't have any duplicate key phrases, because you want to make sure your key phrase is unique on every page and every post on the site. You don't want to use the same key phrase. So I'll kind of go through in here and make sure there aren't any duplicates. One other thing I meant to mention is that they give you an option to select your Cornerstone content in the bottom here. So Cornerstone content is if you have like one or a couple like primary like blog articles or pages on your site that are really in-depth. They're longer than like your basic blog article, but it's like your premium content on your site that you really want to drive traffic to that site. That's a Cornerstone page or post. So you can select that on here, and that changes some of the features in how your site is ranked. For example, you'll see the minimum they suggest for Cornerstone content is 900 words, rather than a basic 300-word blog post. And they'll help you out with the links, because a Cornerstone post or page should have several smaller posts linking to it. So for example, like I might have like WordPress training as a Cornerstone content page, and then several other blog articles about WordPress. Here's an article about Yoast SEO. Here's an article about Gutenberg. And all those would redirect people, or link people, I should say, not redirect, link to the Cornerstone content. So this helps, one, it helps you with your analysis to make sure that you're meeting the objectives for Cornerstone content. It also helps show the search engines that, hey, this is important information to me. This is a page that I rank really highly on my site. I want you to show that page to people in the search engine rankings. So it really depends on how many pages you have on your site will kind of determine how much Cornerstone content you have. And more than pages, I should say the type of information you have on your site. You might only have one if you offer like one primary service or feature or whatnot, or you might have a few if you have different areas of your business that you want to promote. I feel like I talked really fast and went through that really fast, but that is the gist of Yoast. So please tell me there are questions, because I'm done sooner than I thought.
You want to talk about the premium add-ons, like the local and the WooCommerce?
Thank you. Yes. All right, so Yoast gives you additional options. So we talked about the basic Yoast SEO plugin. They also have some other paid extended plugins you can utilize. My favorite is the local SEO, and that really helps local businesses, especially like a retail shop or somebody who generates most of their traffic for a local business. Helps really focus on the local area. What does it do for me? It tells Google everything it needs to know to put you in the top of the local search results. It enhances your contact page so that the visitors, so you appear to visitors who are in your area, and you can optimize it for multiple locations. So if you own a small business, a retail shop, and you have 3 different locations, you can optimize your Yoast, the site for each individual location. They have a few. They have a video SEO. If you have a lot of videos on your site, you want to promote those and generate traffic for those. WooCommerce SEO. WooCommerce is a great plugin. We probably should do a demo for that sometime. It's a great e-commerce plugin. You can improve your SEO specifically for your products with WooCommerce, and they have a news extension as well. So there's a lot of paid options that you can utilize to really improve and enhance your search engine ranking positions. Good question. Any other questions?
So one of the things that you went through on the page is that it lets you change the permalink.
The slug, yep. Permalink,
Why
yep.
would you change it within Yoast rather than just changing it at the top of the page? Is there any benefit or difference, or is it just another place you can do that?
I think they just make that to be an easy option there. I've never changed it there, to be honest with you. I always adjust the whole permalink in the page and kind of follow the same structure. I think it's just there maybe in case you change a keyword, or maybe if you're updating it after the fact or whatnot. I don't have any great reasons why I've ever needed to change it there. I always kind of do on the main part of the site. But that's a good question. I think it's just you can kind of see all three of them there as you're looking at the snippet, to be honest with you. Gee. That is a good question. So short version is you want to figure out who your target audience is, figure out who you're writing to, and then determine what you're writing for. What is this page or post? What's the goal of this page or post? Google offers keyword research. You can go and research keywords. You can see who your audience, what type of searches they're doing. You can see who your competitors are, what keywords your competitors are ranking for, whatnot, and kind of look through that and determine what keywords you want to rank for, what you want to drive traffic to your site for, and then focus your content on that. And like I said, each page and each post should have a unique keyword that can be similar, that can all drive back to a Cornerstone Content, but you don't want to use the same one, because then you're fighting with yourself. If you have multiple pages or posts with the same keyword, Google doesn't know which one to rank, which one to show people. So you they'll balance each other out. So you want to make sure you have unique keywords for each article. Good.
I just want to say, Yoast gets a lot of updates.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the last one I did broke my site.
Did it?
And as near as I can tell, it was, with the error messages and it was Yoast. And all I could do was restore from a backup. No big deal.
Yep.
That's how I roll. But I just wanted to say, it's a lot of updates, and it's messing with the beast each time it does an update.
Yeah.
Things that just try to be a little, not that you can really do anything about it, but it is something to know that it can get a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's both a pro and con. On the, dang it, I keep kicking that cord, I'm sorry. On the positive side is the developers and the team there are great, and they're really involved in the WordPress community. They're constantly updating the plugin, constantly giving more information. I did not touch it that time. Constantly giving more information and keeping updated, and any vulnerabilities, they're plugging them right away. The downside of that is there are updates. I mean, weekly isn't that much of an exaggeration. I mean, I see updates for them constantly. Not always weekly, but each month there's updates and whatnot. And that goes with the territory as part of WordPress and using plugins. I typically am a little slower to update than most people. I always kind of give it a week or a little bit. Let somebody else deal with the hiccups and the whatnot and get that fixed, and then I'll update. So I haven't had problems with Yoast I can think of. I'm sure over the years I may have, but usually I find if you give it a few days or a week, then run the update, it seems to work fine. But it's always an option, absolutely.
It's one of those things that it's critical stuff, but it's messing.
Yeah. Always backup. Always backup. Updraft Plus or one of those beautiful plugins will be a lifesaver, and WP Rollback can be a lifesaver as well. Do you have a question, Gabe?
Yeah, so SEO is a beast of a topic.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do it. Everybody's willing to charge you $10,000 to make you number one. For people that are just getting into it, how should they think about it? Like, how should they learn about it? How should they approach it? When do you decide to pay someone? Like,
Sure. It's a good question. Yoast is actually what I suggest for people just starting out. If you want to learn SEO and you're just getting started, the first thing I say is install Yoast and watch as many of their free videos as you can, and really focus heavily on the on-page setup here, because this really teaches you and shows you what's important. Image alt attributes is something that a lot of beginners forget about, to add the alt attribute, and the length of text and the links, both internal and outbound links. It really shows you a lot of what's important for it. Excuse me. As far as when you get to the point to maybe hire someone else, that really depends on your business and the growth that you want to see and your budget. I mean, once you're to the point to where you have a budget and you're not able to really focus on it daily or weekly, it's probably time to reach out to somebody and get some assistance. There are, unfortunately, a lot of businesses out there that I wouldn't recommend for SEO services. $10,000 a month for, setting up Yoast for you and doing a couple backlinks, it's not worth it. So, if you are someone who wants to look into finding someone for SEO, do your research and get specifics from them. If they can't show you a report of what they've done and analytics and rankings and everything else, you probably want to find somebody else, is a brief suggestion. Good question.
One good site is Backlinko. It's a pretty good free content site.
Yeah.
Just for getting familiar with it. Because I think once you have it, you can judge whether someone's full of crap or not. That's what they're trying to sell you.
Absolutely.
Just back then O at the end of it.
Oh, it's just an O. What was that one?
Yeah, it's just all content.
Another free tool for looking up keywords would be Uber Suggest.
Did you say Uber?
Yep, Uber Suggest. Not the cough,
I haven't heard of that one. We'll drive you right to the. Oh my God, that's so great. Never mind. Uber suggests. Neil Patel wrote about him too.
They're coming up pretty good for
Good SEO.
Yeah, that's not very good actually. Just ubersuggest.com. Is it by Neil Patel? Oh, okay. Then it was good SEO. He was on top. I didn't realize it was him. So neilpatel.com/ubersuggest. Looks like that actually gives you a quiz if you want. I'll get started. Okay. So it gives you an overview of the domains and organic keywords versus paid traffic and whatnot. Top SEO pages. That's cool. I'm going to save that real quick. There are a couple actually. I was going to show Schema. Have you used Schema? Have you been involved with it? I was just starting to kind of look into it. Actually, wasn't going to talk about it because I haven't gotten far enough into it to really talk about it yet. Schema.org is out there. There were a few I have
That's the nice thing about Gutenberg.
marked.
They can actually add schema to each block rather than just showing the page. So it's pretty nice.
Ah, that's a good point. Let's look into that. So Google Trends is one of the areas where you could go and search for various keywords. Let's say we do WordPress training, for example. And it'll show you trends of how many people are searching for it, interest by sub-region, where people are at, related topics, things like that. So you can kind of go through whatever keywords you're considering. You can look up Google Trends and get some information that way as well. Cool. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
At the beginning, you mentioned something I don't know anything about. Maybe you can talk a couple paragraphs about it. Google info cards, is that what you said? Google console?
The Google console?
The knowledge graph you're talking about.
I thought you said something. Google info cards? It was right when you first started talking about.
Yeah, so let's go to actually Google, because that's what we're talking about here. Let's see where to look up a company. So Google has, there's a couple different options. Thank you. I should have explained this actually. Google has a few different types of search results they display. You have paid advertising, which is always marked with an ad. It shows up at the top of the results, obviously. Then you have this part here is with, the generic snippet, like we looked at in the page. We can adjust what we want to appear there in the poster pages. Some sites have a site index where they'll actually show you some of the pages on that site. You can link directly to those. This here is a knowledge graph. So this is actually for bigger and more popular sites. They'll actually show up the knowledge graph on the side here. All we can control is the name, the URL, and the social media profiles. Everything else is actually generated. Google goes out and finds the information on other sites. Wikipedia, for example, actually read that, what's it called, CIA Fact Book, I think it's called. Find information on there. But they'll actually pre-fill this for bigger sites, bigger companies or whatnot. It's called a knowledge graph. Then there are other results that are, I wonder if that's not really a good example. There are other results called a rich snippet, which is, in addition to being a normal snippet like this, it'll have like an image, and it'll have a second line right here that, let's say it might be an item for sale. It'll have like a star reviews. So you might have seen on Google, like, you get 4 out of 5 stars for this item. It might show, information on where to buy it or price or whatnot. One thing that's really popular, like videos. You'll see on a video snippet, if it's a YouTube video, don't make me a liar. Okay, here. You can see the date it was uploaded and who it was uploaded by. So that's an example of a rich snippet. It's more involved, more information to it, versus just a generic title, URL, meta description. Yeah.
You search for Google Search Gallery.
Okay.
It will list all of the features that Google has.
Nice. So this gives you examples. You have one here for an article with an image, nice title below, when it was posted. You have an example of a book here. Gives you a couple options of where to buy it, price for the book, a link to go get it. You can even check availability with your library. So they're kind of more interactive, more information. The breadcrumb here. This is a site, Life with Cats, it looks like, and it kind of shows, okay, in the TV category, there's a news page that they want to display. There are carousels now, especially if you're selling items or wanting to display a lot of videos. You can have a carousel. They can scroll through the information. Yeah, yep. Various data structure types here. Corporate contact. This basically looks like a knowledge graph, or this might be the one that they call a card, not a data card, knowledge card.
Knowledge panel,
It says it right there, knowledge panel. So it's not a card. The cards are different then, but this is like what we were looking at for GoDaddy a minute ago, where it has the name, it has information about it. People also search for or whatnot. So that's a nice one for corporations and larger sites. There's a course option if you have various courses on your teaching or whatnot. There's a lot of different type of data structures or rich snippets, if you will, now. Data set, employer aggregate rating. So you can see the star reviews here, the number of reviews. Events, you can show actually an event calendar if you're displaying events on your page. So there's actually a lot of them. Thank you for showing me this. There's a lot more than I was even aware of.
Always updating it.
I imagine, yeah. Job postings, live stream,
Right, structured data.
locals,
Yeah,
good.
so if you click on the Get Started link, it actually shows you the exact structured data they're looking for.
So is there generally a
Testing tool.
publish that, and it wouldn't be something to pay.
If you mark up your data using the structure that they go for, you have a good chance of that.
Better chance of.
Yeah.
People want is the featured snippet at the top of those search results. Like that's hard to get, but it drives a lot of traffic.
Absolutely. So that looks like another good one too. Thank you for showing that. Anything else? Any other questions? SEO questions? Yoast questions? No? Oh boy, I might need a coffee for those. Cool. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, let me know.